Allow microphone, video contacts, etc. Thanks, Brian. If you're on your phone, you might need to hit the sound button and choose speaker. Okay, well, let's get going. You don't need to see me. You can hear me. I don't sound great. For those of you who just joined, I just got back from urgent care for asthma. I'm doing well. There's no way I was going to leave you all without this presentation tonight. So here we go. So we are going to spend the next hour talking about traveling for IVF and egg freezing at CNY Fertility. Everything you wanted to know about the process and more. All right, so a couple administrative housekeeping items so that we can make the most of our time together. Get something to take notes. So if you're not on your phone, what I've done when I do these, when I'm a participant in these kind of webinars, I just take screenshots of things I want to remember. Or you can go old school and write things down. So get something to take notes. A recording will not be available. However, I will be doing these regularly. I would appreciate if you could save your questions until the end. Last month, when I did this presentation, what happened was there were so many questions that we were on for an extra hour. And that's not making the best use of all of our time together. A lot of the questions that were asked that I went over at the end were actually questions that I answered within the presentation. So if we wait until the end of the presentation to ask questions, hopefully, especially this being the second time that I'm doing this presentation, hopefully your questions will be answered during the presentation. I've worked really hard to make this so thorough for all of you. And also in the best interest of our time, please know that I am not a nurse. I am not a doctor. I'm not a medical clinician. Therefore, I will not be answering any clinical questions. I can answer any questions related to logistics, the process, support, financials, but please hold those questions until you talk to a provider or during your consultation. Okay, so this is me, Erin. I have worked at CNY Fertility for the past 15 years. I have had all kinds of different roles at CNY Fertility. I started working in bringing the integrative model of healthcare to CNY Fertility as a yoga teacher, massage therapist. I've gone on for further training to become a certified life coach and hypnotherapist. And I also worked with the clinical team as an assistant for a while, and now I do events like this to help educate, inform, and just be as helpful as I can to all of you who are, nobody wants to be going through this, especially if you're here for the IVF portion of this presentation. So I just want to acknowledge that, all of you who are here and, again, nobody wants to be signing up for this. So I'm going to work to make this as easy as possible for you. Also, one more housekeeping item. For those of you who can access the Q&A box, at the end of the presentation, I would appreciate if you can access that Q&A box to put your questions there. And you can, here's my email address. So get that written down in case I don't answer your questions tonight. So what we'll be covering today, the benefits of traveling for IVF or egg freezing. What is the process? Does my insurance cover it? What are the costs? why come to CNY Fertility? Is there support? How do I get started? Lots and lots more questions. So a little bit about CNY Fertility on the screen. If you have not been tuning in to our social channels, that is Dr. Robert Kiltz. He is our founder, owner, and CNY Fertility is a privately owned organization by Dr. Kiltz. So Dr. Kiltz started his practice in upstate New York with one nurse, and it has turned into what it is today, which is we're ranked in the top 10 for US in the United States for fertility centers for IVF. Most likely one of the reasons you all are here today is because you are here because you have heard one of our missions is making priceless affordable. I will go into more details on that. And we really are committed to ensuring everyone has access. So accessibility to high quality fertility care needed to grow or start your family. We offer self-funded financing. No credit checks required. We have 8 locations around the United States. And yeah, we're 20,000 babies and growing as part of our extended family here. So of all of our locations, we have 4 in Sarasota, Florida, that is coming soon, that are offering IVF and egg freezing procedures, meaning these locations have an embryology lab. One of the most burning questions that we're getting across all of our platforms and in person is, when is Sarasota, Florida opening for IVF? And I understand we're being a little bit elusive with a formal answer. And because there are so many moving parts to getting a facility with laboratories up and running, including lots of inspections, lots of making sure that every single detail is perfect. So, but I do know that it will be very, very soon. So an indirect answer still, but it's not like the coming soon that was like a year ago. I promise that. It's going to be very soon. All right, so this is a picture of our CNY Fertility IVF laboratory. And like I mentioned, we have these laboratories at 4 of our locations in Sarasota, Florida, opening soon. And we perform over 6,000 assisted reproductive technology cycles a year and provide a full range of services, including IVF, ICSI, assisted hatching, PGT, and egg freezing. Please know that PGT is not performed by CNY Fertility. If you don't know what that means, don't even worry about it. If you do know what I'm talking about, just know that that's done still. The testing is done by a third-party laboratory, but we do offer that service. So more than half of our patients are far away from CNY Fertility and are considered what we call our travel clients. And why do people travel? For lots of reasons. We have over 30 providers. We're a very large clinic, and we have been at the forefront of fertility medicine for over 2 decades. Our prices, we charge 1/3 of the national average for most treatments and offer in-house payment plans with 100% approval. So you can save thousands and thousands of dollars coming to CNY Fertility. And lastly, we're passionate about treating the whole person, supporting you. We believe in an integrative, supportive healthcare model. So if you're doing IVF, minimally, well, or egg freezing, minimally, you will need to travel one time to CNY Fertility, possibly twice. And if that doesn't result in a pregnancy, for those of you who are here for IVF, then more travel may be required as well. I will go into way more detail about that, but just to kind of give you an idea of what that might look like. And depending how far you're traveling from will be directly related to how long you're away from home as well. So at CNY Fertility, because almost half of our IVF and egg freezing patients come from all over the country and the world. Excuse me, I'm going to get a drink because my voice is starting to go. We have a dedicated team of professionals. So we have doctors, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, registered nurses, assistants, LPNs. There's 40 team members dedicated to anyone who will be traveling to CNY Fertility for one of these treatments. So it's kind of like I like to think of it as a location in itself. It's like our virtual location, kind of, because, excuse me, what's cool is this team, as you can see, is they are located. They live all over the country as well. So for those of you who may already be in our system, I think it's helpful to just have a broad overview of how we are organized. And if you're not yet in our system and are considering coming, this is certainly helpful for you as well. Because once you come in the door, you'll want to know where to go for certain things. So we have a whole separate part of CNY Fertility that is our administrative staff. So that's when you call CNY Fertility, you're reaching a call center. You're not reaching any specific location. We have a whole team dedicated to making sure that you can speak to who you need to, make any appointments that you need to, and are basically servicing you that way. We have a whole team that is all they do is make sure that you get your prescriptions, your medications that you need. We have a billing team and we have a financial team. And then in terms of our clinical teams, the way our global team, so this is for our travel clients, are organized is we have our providers, that's the doctors, the nurse practitioners, our physician's assistants. We have our nursing team. We have a results team, meaning I can't even tell you the thousands of results, of lab results and diagnostic testing results that we receive every day. So we have a team that will make sure that we get your monitoring results and anything we need. And then we have a team dedicated once you're pregnant, if you're here for IVF, to help you there. And that's my dog. I don't know if you heard her or not, but sorry about that. All right, so overall, the process, here's the overview of what it's going to look like. One, if you haven't yet, you'll schedule your consultation. So you call. We have one phone number. You'll reach that team, and they will schedule an appointment. I'll go over more in detail of all of these steps in a moment. You'll have your phone consult. Then you will start your medications for whatever treatment that you're doing. You'll book your travel. If you're driving, you know, you have a little bit more flexibility with that. If you're flying, you know, you'll have to be here a day before the procedure. You'll actually have the egg retrieval procedure. If you're doing IVF, you'll potentially stay for a fresh transfer, or you'll travel back for a frozen embryo transfer. And then you'll receive care post-transfer. The embryo transfer and post-transfer care are not for those of you doing egg freezing. If you're doing egg freezing, you'll do your egg retrieval. You'll see what your results are like. And if you're happy with that, you're all good. If not, maybe you'll want to freeze more. I'm going to keep muting myself so you don't have to hear me cough. Okay. All right, so I mentioned the first step is scheduling the consultation. So here's the phone number, or you can scan the QR code here if you can see that. When you call, you book your appointment with one of our 30 doctors, nurse practitioners, and physician assistants. So you will have a provider that does your phone consult. At this time, we are only doing phone consults. I understand, like, in an ideal world, we would do video consults, but we're not there yet. What else about the consult? Just know that we are booking out approximately 3 months. So, excuse me. So it's always better to get on the schedule. And then, you know, for those of you who might not need the appointment, then you can always cancel it, but it's there for you. So take a screenshot if you need that, and write down the number. All right, so once your consult is scheduled, you will receive a couple packets of information. You will receive a welcome email with a welcome packet and a welcome kit. This email is critical. If you have a partner, your partner will also receive this email. And both of you need to open that email and follow the steps outlined. Sometimes these emails go in your junk mail or spam. So please, 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 as soon as you make your consult, make sure that you get that email. When you get that email, you will also be introduced to your patient portal. So all the communication you will have is through, most of the communication you will have as a travel patient is through your patient portal. So you can confirm your appointment so that we know that you want to come, and you must complete your medical evaluation in your patient portal. So again, if there's 2 of you, both of you need to do this separately. And it's very important that you do this prior to your consultation. If you have any medical records related to any previous fertility workup or cycles, you'll definitely want to upload those into your patient portal as well. I definitely recommend following CNY Fertility on all of our, at least one social channel, because we do give a lot of up-to-date information on our social channels, including announcements. So that really is the best way to get up-to-date information. For instance, if you're one of those who is chomping at the bit for Sarasota to open, then you'll find out on social media first. And then another step to prepare for your consultation is to know your fertility benefits. So call your insurance company or contact your HR department to find out what your benefits are. So aside from your direct health insurance, you may even have a fertility benefit that your job offers as well that maybe you just don't know about. So that could be like striking gold if you find out about that. All right, I'm gonna take a little drink. All right. All right, so a couple more things that are optional for preparing for your consult visit. One is completing diagnostic testing. Some of you will have already completed a lot of testing, and you will upload those records into your patient portal. And some of you just want to get ahead so that when you meet with your provider at your consultation visit, they will be able to give you the best possible answers, knowing your health history and your situation in a more complete way. I will go over those in that one in more detail because there was a lot of questions on that the last time I did this presentation. And then also optional preparing for a consult is getting your body ready for treatment. And I'll go over what that means in a moment as well. So diagnostic testing. This here, this is a list of blood work for females and imaging that we recommend prior to IVF. And a semen analysis as well, if that's relevant for your situation. So you can see all of this blood work, all of the list of this tests, if you go to our website. cnyfertility.com is so comprehensive in terms of the information you can find on there. So this would be a good website URL to write down. This www.cnyfertility.com/preparing-for-consultation. At that web page, it gives you a list of everything. This list is also in the pre-consult packet that will be uploaded into your patient portal when you make your consultation visit. So you'll have this there as well. If there's tests on here that you haven't had done and you would like to have it completed prior to your consultation visit, you can take this to your OBGYN, and often they will order this for you and you can upload the results into your patient portal. CNY Fertility is also able to order any of these labs pre-consult as well for you. If you are traveling like close, like driving distance of a CNY Fertility location, you can drive a couple hours to come get all of this testing done as well. If you're flying, you can also fly if you'd like to come get the diagnostic testing done. But what we find is most convenient for most people is if you are far enough away where you would fly to a CNY Fertility location, that what's most convenient is usually having these done at a local blood lab. CNY Fertility can order them for you, and you go to a local blood lab and they will draw it for you. and go to a local imaging center or fertility clinic, and they can do the diagnostic imaging listed there for you as well. Okay. Oh, one more thing. For any of you who have already booked a consultation and maybe you're participating in tonight's event because you just want more holistic information about the process, this pre-consult packet that I'm talking about was newly implemented maybe a week ago, so you may not have one yet. If you don't have one in your patient portal and you already have an appointment, you can simply call a call center and ask them to upload it for you. Okay. All right, and the last optional part, if we're going back here, one was optional, complete your diagnostic testing, and the other optional was get your body ready for treatment. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, CNY Fertility is an integrative model fertility clinic. What that means is we believe in treating the whole person. We do that through nutrition, lifestyle, supplements. So in terms of nutrition, and there's lots of resources that we have for you. So in terms of nutrition, Dr. Kiltz is the biggest component of nutrition, having a major impact in outcomes. You can join his Kiltz Mighty Tribe for free if you go to drkiltz.com. So that's DoctorKiltz.com, and you can join his Mighty Tribe. There's lots of free resources. He teaches all about how to do a keto carnivore diet there. Sorry. In terms of lifestyle, we recommend stopping smoking, limiting alcohol, gentle exercise, focusing on your mental health, and practices like yoga, meditation, working in community, and that is my community. So Fertile Hope is actually, if you've been around a while, you may know that Fertile Hope is an organization that partners with CNY Fertility to offer mental health resources, emotional support resources, community, and support groups. So all of you can join that in partnership with CNY Fertility. They give you 2 months free. So I can put that link in the chat too. Okay, I'll put that. So if you'd like to join for 2 months, check it out. You can do that. In terms of supplements, we recommend supplementation for both eggs and sperm, and CNY Fertility has their own formulated supplements called Molecular Fertility, and you can go to molecularfertility.com and you can purchase those there. We do recommend, if you are going to really want to optimize egg and sperm health, that you give nutrition lifestyle supplements 90 days to have the best effect in your body. So anything on here, if you're looking to improve egg or sperm health. Okay. So now we reached the day. The phone consult day is here. And during your consult with your provider, we will review your goals, your medical history, your fertility history, and any testing recommendations based on what may have already been completed or not. We'll go over the IVF or egg freezing process. We'll answer any questions you have. So I always recommend writing down that you have prior to your appointment, because sometimes you get into the appointment and then there's just so much information, and your mind just kind of goes, and it's emotional. So your mind kind of goes blank. So sometimes if you go in with your questions written down, it can be really helpful to make sure that you walk away feeling like you got everything you needed. And at the time of your consult, your provider will contact our global travel team to say, hey, this person needs a phone call. Which brings us to the post-consult nurse phone call. So around 2 weeks after your consult visit, you will receive a follow-up phone call from a global travel fertility nurse. This is a really important call because more than likely, even though you did a really good job of asking your questions during your consultations, you're going to have more questions. So they will answer those for you. They will go over every detail that you need at that point. So they will order any additional blood work or diagnostic testing that the provider is recommending. They will go over specifically what medications you may need for your upcoming cycle and what that looks like. And they will give you 3 more packets of information. They will give you a travel patient packet, which is loaded with helpful information about traveling. They will give you a lab packet, which goes into more detail about the labs that are going to be ordered, or maybe it'll be information you already have or know. And then the third one is the consent packet. So to have a procedure at CNY Fertility, you have to sign consents. When you sign, the sooner you can get those signed and back into your patient portal, the better. So definitely make sure you go over those. All right. So during your phone call, as your next step will be to figure out where you're going to be doing your monitoring. So when you do IVF or egg freezing, you take medications to stimulate your ovaries, and to monitor how that medication is working in your body, we have to do blood work and transvaginal ultrasounds. That's the complete, those 2 things on the same day give a complete picture of what's happening in your body, how your body is responding to those medications. And based on those tests, the nurses and the global team can make adjustments to medications, or they can say continue on. Okay, hang on a second. I'm gonna get a drink and I'm gonna cough. Okay. For those of you who maybe didn't hear, I'm not doing well, but I didn't want to skip out on you guys. So I'm doing my best here to navigate this. Okay, so when you can do your monitoring at a CNY fertility location, or you can find a monitoring location within whatever town or city you live in. Easier said than done sometimes. But know that you'll need between the minimal 3 monitoring days, sometimes up to 5, depending. Usually not 5, but factor it in, and then you won't be disappointed. You'll need to find, so if you cannot, so you can travel to CNY and so stimulation takes about 10 days on average. So you could plan to fly to a CNY fertility location and stay for the duration of the cycle. You can stay during your monitoring. You can do your monitoring at a CNY fertility location. You'd stay for your retrieval. And if you're going on to a transfer, you can stay for that too. All in all, that would be about, let's see, 10 days for stimulation, 35 days, hours later, retrieval. Let's see, that would be about almost a little less than 3 weeks. You could do a whole cycle. So if you wanted to, you could come and stay at a hotel or stay with a friend or family member, and you can do the whole cycle at a CNY. If you want to do local monitoring, though, you'll have to find an OBGYN clinic. Usually might do it, your OBGYN, or sometimes a fertility clinic in your area might do it, or an imaging center. We do have a monitoring facility map on our website to help you find a local monitoring facility if you're unable to travel to a CNY fertility for your monitoring. So you can go to cnyfertility.com/travel. It's a little tricky to find. You just got to keep scrolling down to find the map. And you can use this as a resource to find a place in your area that could help you with monitoring. Please know that you need to find a place that will offer same-day results. So for us to be able to give you guidance and instructions on your medications, we need information the same day. All right. We just talked about this, but in a little bit more detail. You will call when you're ready to start your cycle. You will call day 1 of your period. This is for egg freezing and IVF. If you don't get a period, that's okay too. You will call when you're ready to start your cycle, and usually your first monitoring will be between day 3 and 5 of your cycle. All right. So in terms of booking flights, hotel, and travel, please do not book your flight until you have a date scheduled for your egg retrieval. Unless maybe you have some flexibility with a ticket where you could easily change it without it adding additional costs. But the general recommendation, we generally recommend not booking until you know when your retrieval is. Your retrieval date is not scheduled until you're about halfway through your stimulation. So again, if on average, someone stimulates their ovaries for 10 days, you'll know around day 5 or 6, typically. Travel time and duration depend on whether you're doing a fresh and frozen transfer. Okay, so if you're doing IVF and you're going to do a transfer, you may and you want to do a fresh transfer, then typically you will arrive the day before your retrieval, unless you're driving. If you're driving, you can drive up the day of your egg retrieval. If you're flying, you need to be at your CNY location the day before the egg retrieval. And then you will stay. So the egg retrieval, once you do your trigger shot, is 35 hours later. So if you come the day before, the day of egg retrieval, so you could stay up to maybe 5 days, 6 days for your until your fresh embryo transfer. If you are planning to do a frozen embryo transfer, then you shouldn't leave until the day after your egg retrieval if you're flying. If you're driving and you have a driver, you can leave that same day. But if you're flying, we definitely recommend leaving the day after. Okay. If you are traveling alone, you must book medical transportation post-retrieval to be discharged from CNY. So if any of you are on this presentation who are on the last one, I did mess this up, but I know this is correct now because I got all the answers. So if you are traveling with someone, CNY Fertility can discharge you to that person to take care of you. And whether they're driving or you take an Uber, that's fine. But if you're traveling alone, you must book medical transport. And here are some phone numbers for you. So this would be a good slide to screenshot or write these numbers down. So I'll give you a moment to do that. And of course, you can always just Google too. You can Google medical transport in any area as well. You do have to reserve that ahead of time though. You can't just call the same day like a taxi. All right. With regards to hotels and things to do, our website is very comprehensive. Every location has hotels listed, any hotels where CNY Fertility offers discounts. They offer, actually, I'm sorry, if the hotel offers a CNY Fertility discount, that will be listed on the website as well. But here's the website. It's cnyfertility.com/location. And you just pick whatever location you want. So I picked Syracuse for this example. But you can pick whatever clinic that you'll be traveling to. Okay, so then we're here at the egg retrieval day, your procedure day. Your egg retrieval is done under sedation in a clinic. So because you're having anesthesia, that's why we cannot just discharge you into a, if you're by yourself, we can't just let you go by yourself. And also why we recommend flying the next day. So you'll be under sedation and they'll be using a transvaginal ultrasound aspiration, during which an ultrasound probe is inserted into your vagina to identify the follicles. A needle is then guided through the vagina and into a follicle. A suction device connected to the needle removes the egg from the follicle. Multiple eggs can be removed, and studies show that the more eggs retrieved, up to 15 per cycle, the better chances of birth. After egg retrieval, you might have cramping, feelings of fullness or pressure might continue as your ovaries come back to their normal size. And then after your egg retrieval, you will get a fertilization report if you are doing IVF. So if you're doing IVF, they will let you know how many fertilized. And at that time, they will let you know if they recommend a fresh transfer or frozen transfer and what day. So a fresh transfer will be day 3 or day 5, and that is referring to retrieval day as day 0. So if retrieval day is day 0, then you count 3 days after that for possible fresh transfer or day 5. And they, like I said, they determine that at the fertilization check when that would be happening. If you want to be doing genetic testing of your embryos, then you automatically need to do a fresh or a frozen embryo transfer, because they'll need to biopsy the embryos and freeze them. We'll wait for send off the biopsy to get testing. You'll get results, and then you'll be able to determine which embryo to transfer. ASRM guidelines are transferring 1 embryo. That is the guideline. That is what we do. And exceptions to this need to be discussed ahead of time with your provider. So once you've had your transfer, you'll be continued. You'll be getting blood work. And if you're pregnant, then you will continue weekly blood work and ultrasounds. And you will be discharged from CNY Fertility around 8 weeks of pregnancy to your local OBGYN. So it's good to, if you don't have established care with an OBGYN currently, that you would feel confident in doing your prenatal care, then now is the time, not later, now is the time to get that care, because you're going to need someone in your local area, if you're not able to come to a CNY Fertility, to do your ultrasounds, your pregnancy ultrasounds, which, like I said, we want you to do those weekly. All right, I'm going to take a drink. We'll get into the finances. All right, does insurance cover IVF for egg freezing? The long and short of that is it depends. As I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, the best thing to do is contact your HR department and your insurance company to find out what your benefits are. Our financial team will do an insurance audit, but of course, it's helpful for you to budget this whole experience ahead of time by doing your due diligence and making those phone calls. Okay, so in this slide, you can see a payment calculator. If you go to cnyfertility.com/affording-treatment, we have an interactive payment calculator. And in that calculator, you can tell the calculator if you want to do a payment plan, if you want to do genetic testing, if you want to add in a frozen transfer, if you want to add in donor eggs. You can tell it that, and it'll give you an cost. Right now, our self-pay, if you pay everything up front, cost for an IVF cycle is $3,999. The national average is $12,000. If you are not doing, that does not include medications or monitoring. So if you're going to do monitoring in your own hometown, not at a CNY fertility center, you have to figure out how much that's going to cost and add that in to the whole thing. If you're doing monitoring at a CNY fertility center, then monitoring is $995. And that does not include pregnancy monitoring. That's just up until the retrieval or egg preservation or for IVF. If you're doing monitoring outside of a CNY fertility client center, we do have a small remote cycle management fee because it does take so much effort to get all in labor. It's very labor intensive to get all those labs uploaded into everyone's charts. Medicine sometimes is really archaic, and so faxing is still a thing. So we have no way to just digitally get those in the system. And then of course that does not include medications. So some people have medication coverage, but they don't have treatment coverage. Front. And you can pay this. And if you then decide you want to add on medications, then we have bundled packages where we bundle the IVF treatment with the medications. So we have these different prices here. We have package 1, package 2, and package 3 for IVF, and I'll go over egg freezing in a moment. But package 1 is for what we consider low dose medications. So like mini dose. So basically, if you don't need as much medication, you're going to pay less. If you need more medication, you pay more. And again, with these packages, you can make a down payment, and it says it right there, how much down you can make, and you can finance the rest, or you can pay the whole thing up front. And again, this doesn't include monitoring, doesn't include embryo storage, which is $50 a month. Okay. And again, all of this information, all of these packages, all the bundles, everything is at the cnyfertility.com/affording-treatment. In terms of egg freezing, Team web's page has calculators for egg freezing. So you just click this little drop down here and you click what procedure you want to find out the price of, and it will tell you. So it's $2,999, does not include medications or monitoring. So we also have bundled pricing with medication for egg freezing. So the total cost is $4,764 if you want to include medications. That doesn't include monitoring. And it doesn't include the storage fee for your eggs either. This shouldn't say embryo storage. This should say egg storage fee. So, which is $50 a month. All right, all of these packages, by the way, all of these include a fresh transfer. Everything we just went over includes a fresh transfer. If for some reason you're not able to do a fresh transfer, or you're choosing not to do a fresh transfer for many reasons, the cost within a year of doing your egg retrieval, of doing a frozen embryo transfer, is $995. And that would be for as many frozen transfers from that retrieval cycle as you need within that year for a pregnancy. After a year, then it goes up to $2,495. But at that point, it would be most likely because you're going for a sibling. That's why the price goes up, because most likely you've already had a pregnancy. All right. We have lots of support and resources here at CNY Fertility. If you haven't figured it out yet, our website is super comprehensive. We have blogs. That calculator is so invaluable to helping you budget and figure out what your cost is going to be. We put a ton of resources and effort into this family building guide here, which is, I highly recommend. It's free. If you go to cnyfertility.com, the first thing that pops up is, do you want our family building guide? You can download it. You can learn more about all of our philosophies, all of the treatments, all of the resources available to you at CNY Fertility in that family building guide. And of course, as I mentioned, if you join us in any of our social channels, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, we do a lot of our staff does weekly live events. And of course, as I mentioned, I lead Fertile Hope, which is support groups, community, yoga, meditation, hypnosis. I have an app with a ton of emotional, mental support there. And like I mentioned, you guys all get 2 months free for that. So I'll put that link again. In terms of your next steps, yeah, you can book a consult. So here's the phone number again. It's 844-315-2229 for anyone who didn't get that. All right. So now I would love to take questions. I'm going to start in the Q&A box. And and then I'll go down to the chat, and I'll work to get as many as possible in. Please do not ask, again, just as a reminder, please don't ask any clinical questions since I am not a medical clinician. Okay. Okay, if we already have paid for the IVF, can we still add these additional add-ons? And who do we contact to ask for these add-ons? So any add-ons of medication, if you've already paid for IVF, yes, you can add on anything. You would contact your nurses, the Global Travel Nursing Team, and they can help you with that. Okay, any tips related to severe weather alerts if coming for retrieval transfer during later months in New York, Colorado locations? I've lived in upstate New York almost my entire life. We don't close the airports very often. We are very weatherproof around here, and we are very good at dealing with snow. If you notice, again, you're not going to be booking your flight way ahead of time, but if you feel looking at the weather like you might want an extra day, then budget that in, because this process can be very anxiety producing, and it's just easier to get there sooner than later. Okay, if you've already done an egg retrieval process separately, can you just do a frozen transfer without the egg retrieval process? Yes, you can. Do you help with choosing eggs donor? Yes, we have a whole egg donor department. I didn't get into any of that. The pricing for that, though, is in that payment calculator. And at the time of your consultation, if that's something that you are looking to do, we have a whole department that of staff that helps facilitate matching between egg recipients and egg donors. We have our own egg bank here at CNY Fertility, so we can do that for you. We live in Canada. Could you tell us more about how to procure medication prescribed for our procedure? That might be difficult to access in different jurisdictions. So the medications, if you're in Canada, most likely you'd be, I'm not sure where in Canada, but we have a lot of clients in Ontario who come to our Buffalo location. It isn't too much of a drive, and the medications will be delivered to the Buffalo location. They will give you all the documentation you need and your medications to go back over the border. Yes, we have a list of monitoring clinics, and I went over that on our website. I might skip some of these questions if they are, I've already discussed them just for time. Do we start supplements 90 days before the retrieval or 90 days before IVF? 90 days before the retrieval. Yes, CNY does offer PRP. Do both partners need to have STI testing before starting IVF? I have one order that says yes and one that does not. The testing that we recommend that's in that packet and also on our website in terms of STI would be, we do recommend HIV testing, the hepatitis B, hepatitis C, what else? But that's it. Okay, what is recovery time before travel by air after egg retrieval? What is recovery time before travel? We recommended staying for an extra day after your retrieval before you fly back to wherever you. And after the transfer, there's no recovery time needed. It's a very easy procedure. It goes very quickly. You can travel, you can fly that same day. How do you make the most of your time for multiple egg retrievals when both spouses will be arriving at different times? You can transfer embryos from New York to Florida. You will have to contact our team and make that request. If you, what do I recommend if you live 2 hours from the clinic in Florida? I would recommend driving there. Okay, I'm gonna go into the chat now. Thanks, Chris, for answering questions too. I see you. Okay. With the bundle, how does it work getting the medication? So if you want the bundle, if you want to participate in the bundle, you will let your global travel nurse know, nursing team know that, and they will contact the pharmacy that we use, and the pharmacy will contact you to arrange delivery. CNY Fertility coordinates that whole thing. And then you will simply just let the pharmacy know where you want the medication shipped. You'll know if you're getting a day 3 or day 5 embryo transfer at the fertilization check. We definitely do not recommend flying in the day of your egg retrieval. The egg retrieval is precisely timed from when you do your trigger shot. So it would be such a shame for a flight delay or something to happen, and all of the medications that and time and effort and energy that you put into the process to be for nothing, because the procedure is very precisely timed. It is possible to have twins with IVF. We do mostly transfer one embryo. We do have instances in rare occasions when the embryo does split. The calculator on the website, I'm putting the slide back up now, is at cnyfertility.com/affording-treatment. I think Chris answered this, but if you sent in blood work from a previous fertility clinic, will you need to repeat those labs? The answer is possibly. It just depends which one it is. And again, all of the lab work that we have on our list are recommendations. You have the right to decline those. How do you get your price so much lower than the majority of IVF places? Well, that's a good question. One way that we're able to do this is because we have such a high volume of patients. So that's why we have such a long wait list to get a consultation. But oftentimes with high volume, we are able to leverage that with vendors and pharmacies and pharmaceutical companies to get you all the benefit of that in terms of pricing. So the summer sale is over, but it was extended permanently. So right now, our IVF price is $39.99, which was the price of the summer sale. So that's good news. Our pricing does change often. I will say that. So if you want to lock in a price, you can purchase the IVF cycle now and kind of have it as a credit on your account. And then you'll have to use it within a year. Yeah, our pricing does change a lot, which is one of the reasons I will not be giving out the slides or recording the event, because things change quickly. We do not have a cutoff age for IVF. How old is the oldest patient to become pregnant at CNY? Well, using their own eggs or using donor eggs. And I'm not sure. But definitely with donor eggs in their 50s, and I would say in their 40s for their own eggs. How do I get to talk to the same nurse or a group of specific nurses? I had miscommunication several times. Okay, so Amelia, I'm really sorry that happened. And I will say this, communication is so critical because there's so much information, there's so much emotions, there's so much writing on all of this. And so it's always best to, if you can, if you're not sure about something, you can ask again. You can advocate. Unfortunately, we don't have one-on-one care at CNY Fertility, meaning that we provide fertility care with a team environment. So when you contact CNY Fertility, or you're dealing with a whole team, you're not dealing with one person. That's one of the ways that we're able to so efficiently offer the pricing that we do. And yeah, I'm also happy to help, Amelia. So through Fertile Hope, I'm able to kind of offer like, and what I end up doing, I don't really advertise this, but like because I do work at CNY Fertility, I end up offering kind of like a CNY Fertility concierge service almost, where I'm able to kind of walk people through specific communication needs so that it doesn't happen. So you can always reach out to me at Fertile Hope too. I had a frozen embryo transfer 8/29. It says 33, but I'm going to think you meant 23. That failed. I started with CNY in April. So if I go for another IVF cycle before April, well, it just depends when you had your retrieval. So if you're saying you had your retrieval in April, then yes, you could do another frozen embryo transfer before April for the $995. It's not for a whole nother IVF. If you have frozen embryos still left, you can do as many frozen embryo transfers as you need to become pregnant at $995 before a year of your retrieval date. I had my uterus removed, my ovaries remain. Can the eggs still be retrieved? Yes. Yes, you can. Yes, you can pick the gender of your baby. That would be through genetic testing of the embryos through IVF. And we do offer that at CNY Fertility. Where do people travel for intralipid treatments? That's a good question. And some places aren't able to do it, but that's a good question. I'm not sure, Bethany. You can email me on that one, and I can try to find out where people go. Yes, so will CNY send me an outpatient form for each monitoring appointment I do here locally? Yes, you will have lab requisitions for every monitoring appointment that you do locally. I just registered for Hope Yoga. Is the class online instant class? You just everything's on demand. They're on demand videos for the yoga part. Excuse me. We do not have our own sperm bank. We do have our own egg bank, though. If you pay the $50 for a consult and say you get pregnant before or no longer need a consult, is that refundable? No. So when you make your consult appointment, it's a non-refundable $50 charge. If flying into Syracuse, can we fly out the same day after a fresh transfer? Yes. Transfers are super easy procedures. It doesn't require any sedation. So you can definitely fly the same day as an embryo transfer. Oh, okay, so someone said, do we need to get any lab work recommended by our provider during the consult before the travel team will call us? It's been nearly 3 weeks. Okay, so if I were you, you're probably going to get a call any day, but if you want to be proactive, which I would want to be in your situation, then I would just message the Global Travel team and say, hey, it's been about 3 weeks since my consultation. When can I expect a phone call? You guys aren't booking consults for 3 months out. Is there any way to start before 3 months? I'm not sure. Are we booking out farther than that? Last I knew it was 3 months. Sometimes you can put your name on, once you get all of your information filled out in your patient portal, everything has to be filled out. A little tip for you is you can ask to be on a cancellation list. So get all of your medical records uploaded, get everything in your patient portal filled out, and you can ask when you call to be put on a cancellation list, and there's a good chance that you can get bumped up for a consult, as long as you're flexible with the provider that you're speaking with. The IVF and egg freezing are separate bundles. So if you're doing IVF, an IVF bundle is a different service, includes different treatment services than the egg freezing bundle. You do not have the same nurse and doctor throughout the whole treatment. I just kind of went over that. We do have a team. We work within teams here at CNY. Is there a cutoff for how old diagnostic testing could be? Semen analysis we like within a year. HSG, saline hysterosonograms we like within a year, and certain blood tests we like within a year as well. Excuse me. How do you calculate what your all-in pricing will be? You use the calculator. The calculator has bundles in it. The only thing it won't include in it is your hotel, or your flight. It also won't include medications beyond what is needed for retrieval and transfer. So if anything's recommended to you, you might have a few more medication costs. All right, I'll take a few more questions. And then I gotta go because my voice is, I'm really struggling. But please email me. Please email me if you have further questions, and I'm going to be doing this probably once a month. Let's see. Do you have a payment plan? You have, all of our packages require a down payment and then a payment plan. You can travel between retrieval and transfer. It's recommended that you don't travel by plane a day after retrieval. But if you want to drive around and see stuff and hang out and, you know, be a tourist, you're welcome to do that, especially if you're staying for a fresh transfer. Okay, let me see. Can insurance be used for the bundle packages? No, the bundle packages are self-pay, private pay. Insurance has its own set of rules that we have to follow. If you're waiting for Sarasota to open and you want to do your procedures there, that's great. I would still recommend doing the consultation now because, again, you were booking out for that. And your consultation could be with a provider in Syracuse. It's not necessarily going to be with a provider in Sarasota. So your consultation will be with one of our 30 providers. So you don't have to wait for Sarasota to be open for IVF to do your consultation. Once you do your consultation, as long as all of your diagnostic testing is done, you can start treatment right away. December and January in Syracuse, it's cold, very cold. Syracuse has a little bit less snow than Rochester and Buffalo, but most likely, especially in January, unless we're having a mild winter, there will be snow. PGT testing, genetic testing in the embryos, you usually get your results back from the retrieval date from usually about 2 weeks. It takes to get your results back for that. And then you'll be waiting, and potentially you could start a frozen embryo transfer your next cycle. If you booked an appointment but it was canceled due to not having all medical records, can I reschedule and use the $50 I originally paid? I'm not sure. You can definitely ask the people in the call center, though. Yeah. Yes, you want sedation for the egg retrieval. We use sedation for the egg retrieval. So when you call your insurance company, you can simply ask them, what benefits do I have for fertility? Do I have medication coverage? And what is my treatment coverage? Sometimes medication is covered in a different way than treatment. Those are the questions I would ask to start. And I would also potentially ask your HR department if you work at a company or your spouse works at a big company. A lot of times those companies now have additional fertility benefits. There's lots of companies that offer additional fertility benefits that are separate from your traditional health insurance as well. And you might not know about that unless you ask your HR department. Monitoring needs to be able to be completed Monday through Saturday. That's a really good question. Okay. Okay, so yes, there's a way to, the question is there a way to find out costs of additional medications if needed that are not included in the bundle? Yes, so any medications that are recommended to you, our team, the nursing team, will send to our prescription team. And if you are self-pay or not, or if you have insurance coverage, the pharmacy will let you know that, where they send the medications. And if you know you have coverage, you can always say to the nurse, I have coverage for such and such medication. Can you send it to whatever pharmacy that you have a preference for? And that's for medications specifically not included in the bundle. Fertilization check is done the day after the egg retrieval. I don't know the specific timing of that, like how many hours, or if there is a specific timing, but I can definitely find out, Caitlin, if you want to email me, if you're interested in specific details, but maybe just the day after retrieval is good enough for answer for you. Would you know the price for shipping, transferring eggs to CNY? I do not. It can, usually it's in the hundreds, though. Okay. Okay, you're welcome. Thanks everyone for the get well wishes. I think we'll wrap it up here. And again, I'm going to be offering these monthly, and I also have another presentation that I'm doing, another webinar next week. It's called Essentials of Fertility Treatment Prep. That'll be advertised for registration in your email and on social media as well. So maybe I'll see you again next week, and shoot me an email if you have any follow-up questions. And I hope this was helpful. And I wish you all the best and sending love. Bye, everyone.